You're watching KOMO News.
Breaking now at 5 a.m., a two-alarm fire in Seattle's Belltown neighborhood, now deadly, also sending 6 people to the hospital and dozens wondering if they still have a place to live. We are live with what we know so far about the chaotic scene in one of Seattle's most densely populated spots.
Also coming up, new videos sent in by viewers this morning give us a closer look at just how dangerous that deadly firefight in Belltown has been this morning. I'll show you what witnesses saw right outside their windows this morning.
We're also tracking another overnight fire, this one a two-alarm fire in a building that used to house an elementary school in Burian. KOMO's Lee Stoll standing by live with what we're learning about 2 other fires set in that same area overnight.
And it's easy to think it won't happen to you, but on average, there are about 40 hot car deaths among U.S. children every year. New at 5:35, one simple thing you can do to your car today to prevent tragedy.
And although we're cooling down a bit, we're still going to be hot. We say good morning to you on this Wednesday. I'm Holly Menino.
Yeah, I hope you're able to sleep in warm temperatures. I'm Kelly Koopman, Steve McCarron tracking several stories from the live desk. We have weather and traffic every 10 minutes right here. Let's get over to Theron first to see just how much of a cool off we're looking at.
At least 10 degrees, if not more, in areas today. So we're out of the record-breaking territory. Still on the warm side, mid to even upper 80s in a few spots. Other spots upper 70s to lower 80s. But beautiful start to the day. This is up at Hurricane Ridge. You can see the clear skies there, and our temperatures, they're going to be mild as well up in the Cascades compared to the last few. We top out today in the mid 80s. A couple spots make it to the upper 80s. Cooler still tomorrow. We'll talk more about that coming up.
Let's take a look at your morning drive. A live look, I-5 South Albro Place. Traffic is light as you approach the Emerald City this morning. Looking really good in this area. Want to show you a quick look at the maps and talk to you a little bit about the road that is still blocked due to fire department activity. This actually happened last night. This is a route Theron takes every morning. He said that is still blocked. The maps show it is. This is Highway 99 Marginal Way northbound. It's between Michigan Street and Orcas Street. You're going to want to plan ahead for this. We're already starting to see some congestion in that area, even though it's only 5 o'clock. But traffic already getting a little bit backed up for the people that do head that way on their morning commute.
A tragic situation unfolding overnight in Seattle's Belltown neighborhood.
1 person is dead, 6 others in the hospital, including 1 who has critical injuries. This is in the 100 block of Vine Street in Seattle's Belltown neighborhood. We want to get right back out to KOMO's Mo Hyder with the latest information. Mo?
Yeah, that's right, Holly. That whole building actually had to be evacuated. We've seen people go in and out. Go ahead and take a look at the scene here. This is how it looked like a little while ago. It's starting to get clear, but just to give you an idea of what we saw when we got here earlier, this is the building where the fire is. It's an apartment complex. You can see both sides were taped off at one point. The cause right now is still under investigation, but we know it started on the 3rd floor and made its way to the 2nd. Again, 1 person is dead, another in critical condition. As far as the damages do go, we can't see much from this angle other than some windows. We did look up some information about this building. It was built back in 1987, and it serves households earning below 50% and 65% of the area median income. That's according to their website. And also even across from the apartment building, that side of Vine Street where we're standing, that all part has also been closed off. So again, 1 person has died, another is in critical condition, 5 others are stable and being treated at the hospital. Also been told here by a spokesperson with the Seattle Fire Department that about 50 people right now are being checked up on. Last I heard, they are doing okay though. Live in Belltown, Mo Hyder, KOMO News.
Tough morning for so many. We'll continue to follow this. Mo, thanks.
And from the live desk, the area where that fire broke out overnight is densely populated with lots of apartments and condo buildings nearby. So this really has been quite the scare for a lot of people this morning. This is some video that was sent in by a KOMO viewer, and it sort of tilts down here as it does that. You can see all the fire trucks lining the streets, surrounded by all of those tall buildings there. Lots of flashing lights this morning. Another viewer replied to one of my posts on X this morning with this video here. I want to play it for you. You can see some of the ladders that firefighters set up to help rescue some people that were trapped because of this fire. See one of the firefighters going in, some of those neighbors peering out as well. Another thing you're going to notice as some of those witnesses sort of climb down those ladders is all the trees that are surrounding those buildings. The possibility of those catching fire because of this morning, certainly a big concern as well.
We are following another big fire burning now in King County, this time in Burian.
Yeah, crews have been out there for about 6 hours. It's happening along 14th Avenue South, just south of Glen Acres Golf and Country Club. KOMO's Lee Stoll is live in Burian. And Lear, we're learning this is at a school.
what used to be a school. It closed a couple of years ago, but students are still here. I'll explain that in just a second. But what I want to really show you is, as you mentioned, this fire took off more than 6 hours ago, and we still have flames shooting out of the roof of what is the gymnasium here. The school itself, it closed because of low enrollment several years ago, but there are two schools that still use this: Highline Virtual Academy, Innovation Heights Academy. I just spoke to an officer who says there are about 100 students who use this school. So what they're focused on right now is trying to save the office space and letting the gymnasium burn. The roof has basically collapsed. I want to show you some video of how intense this fire was just a couple of hours ago. What I'm hearing is that there is insulation. It's a very old building. That insulation is several feet thick, and it is really tough to fight. So we have multiple ladder trucks. This was brought up to a 2-alarm fire, which brought in more than 50 personnel, but they're letting it burn through the gymnasium right now. They've backed off just a bit. And what we can see from here, if we come back out live, I want to show you some things that we're noticing from the exterior of the building. We've got some burned brush on the side of the building, and then leading up to the front doors, we can see some of the glass has been broken. And all of this important because as we pan over to the brick here on the right side of the building, officers did put up an arson sign. What I'm being told is this is one of at least 2 or other 3 fires that they are now investigating that happened in this area over the last couple of hours. One was a box truck, another was a dumpster at another school. So this is very concerning for them as we have very dry conditions. We're uphill. There is a notice that's been going out to neighbors telling them, if you're in this area, close your windows. The smoke is really thick. It's starting to dissipate just a bit. But as I show you once again, 6 hours later, we still have flames shooting out of the roof.
Yeah, Lee, just so dangerous and such an active scene there right now, and now an arson investigation underway. We'll check back in about 30 minutes or so.
Now to Snohomish County, where a $2 million warrant's been issued for a teenager accused of killing a 13-year-old girl at Alderwood Mall last week. Prosecutors charged Samuel Gizar with murder and other charges. He was arrested the day of the shooting, but posted bail and was released a day later. In new court papers, authorities revealed the 16-year-old was punched in the face shortly before the shooting. They say he set out for revenge and fired gunshots at the teen who assaulted him, but hit Jada Woods Johnson, an innocent bystander. Now, Jada's family pleading for more information, including about how he was able to get a gun in the first place.
The tiniest of detail that you think doesn't matter, it may matter.
Prosecutors said the original bail decision was made by a juvenile court, yet given the charges today, Gizar's case is now being handled by the adult court system.
A live look at Seattle, where later today several local leaders will join to launch 100 days of action against gun violence. King County Executive Dow Constantine is leading this initiative through the summer and the fall. It is in partnership with the City of Seattle and local community-based organizations. That announcement set for 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Later this morning, Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell will sign the 8-year, $1.55 billion transportation package. But voters will have a final say in November. This levy, approved by the City Council, replaces and expands a property tax for Seattleites. It would replace the existing Move Seattle levy. For the median homeowner, it is 70% bigger. The mayor and council increased the size after a series of public meetings, suggesting it will build miles and miles of sidewalks, repave hundreds of streets, and provide needed bridge maintenance.
All right, there in your new TV time matches the blue sky.
Yeah, isn't that nice? Yeah, we're just in time to cool things down around here, because I think that's exactly what a lot of people want. And I brought up a camera here to kind of show you the mechanics of this cool down, take you all the way out to the coast, and there's some marine air to be found there. We've missed it. The coast has been waking up with clear skies thanks to that strong offshore flow, but not the case now. The return of the marine air along the coast shows that our natural air conditioning is starting to reform, and over the next couple days it'll be even cooler. 77 at noon, 85 by 4 p.m., so still warm. Definitely a summer day around here, but notice the marine air along the coast. Takes a little bit to burn away. 8:30 this morning, still has some clouds to be found around Hoquiam, but further east toward Olympia and Centralia looking pretty clear. And then as we go through the afternoon, everybody sees sunshine, and then clouds reform tonight. So tomorrow morning, that marine air will be all the way into the Puget Sound Basin. basin, so even cooler still tomorrow as we wake up with a few clouds around Everett, Seattle, and Tacoma, but they evaporate rather quickly, move on out of here, and then lots of sunshine in the second half of the day. Each day a little bit cooler, so we're going to be in the mid to upper 80s today. Tomorrow, low to mid 80s in our warmest spots, and even eventually the upper 70s to mid 70s in some areas, but clear skies to be found for the foreseeable future. No rain in sight. Coming up in your extended KOMO forecast, we'll talk more about the weekend.
All right, let's give you a look at our roads this morning. This is I-405 at Coal Creek Parkway right now. Things are looking nice on 405 right now. As you can tell, the northbound, southbound directions both moving nicely, at least at 510 right now. We know things start to change a little bit later in the morning, especially as we approach that 6 a.m. hour, particularly in the Renton area right here. Let's give you a look at our maps. Both of our floating bridges are looking nice right now. Northbound, southbound 405, as we mentioned, are okay, and same goes with I-5 in Seattle. Let's look up farther north right now. We've paid a little attention farther south and in the Seattle area because of some fires that we've had. But as we look up north between Marysville and Everett, things are moving nicely along I-5 right now. We'll give you another check of the South Sound coming up in a little bit.
A heads up for drivers later this morning. The Washington State Transportation Commission set to hold its final public hearing on a proposal to change toll rates on the SR 520 bridge. The proposed changes would increase the tolls by an average of 10%, depending on the time of day and day of week. If approved, the new rates will go into effect August 15th. That hearing set for 9 a.m. We do have a link at komonews.com/hotlinks. The commission will vote during that meeting. Time right now, 5:11. Kids who are constantly on their phones will not like this. Another state is making a move to keep cell phones out of the classroom during next school year. Coming up, the reason for the move and where our state stands on this proposal.
And each summer we hear about children tragically losing their lives after being left or becoming trapped in a hot car. Coming up at 5:35, how you can prevent this type of tragedy.
And just some crazy video coming in out of Australia this morning. A massive fire burns through a factory. Look at that. Next at 5:13, the warning from firefighters to those living in nearby suburbs and what we've just learned about what caused the fire. Next. All right, just some incredible video coming into the live desk this morning out of Australia, and that's where a massive fire, massive flames, look at that, a huge amount of smoke filled the sky in Melbourne overnight after a chemical explosion sparked this large fire at a factory. Dozens of fire trucks, firefighters called in to fight this thing. They're still working to get that fire out this morning. That thick black smoke you see there rising into the air, it prompted local leaders to issue warnings for the suburbs that surround that fire just because of the toxicity of that. No injuries have been reported so far. We're still working to learn exactly what caused that explosion. Back here at home, the First Avenue South Bridge still impacted this morning in South Seattle. Those northbound lanes still closed. See all the cones lined up. And that's because of large fire that broke out in South Seattle last night. These are live pictures coming in of the bridge. You can see those cones and the closures in place and some of those northbound drivers being diverted off to the side there. This is why they're dealing with some issues. If we can drop that graphic for me, because these are not live pictures here. Semi-trucks, several of them, utility poles, at least one RV as well. It broke out during this fire. This broke out in the city's Georgetown neighborhood. The fire near East Marginal Way South and First Avenue South at the north end of the First Avenue Bridge closed all the lanes of State Route 99. As we just showed you in that live picture, those lanes still closed right now.
5:15 this morning, Virginia is set to become the latest state to restrict cell phone use in public schools. The governor issuing an executive order to establish guidance for local school systems to adopt by January, saying the measure is essential to promote a healthier and more focused educational environment. The Education Department will now come up with guidelines on restricting phones.
Social media, it can wait. Honestly, it's not that important to be doing. It's much more important what's going on in the classroom.
Last year, Florida became the first state to crack down on phones in school. Indiana and Ohio passed their own laws this year. At the heart of the issue, the distraction and mental health issues linked to social media. Research shows kids who spend an average of 3 hours or more on social media per day double their risk of anxiety and depression.
And in our state, there is no law restricting cell phone use in public schools, but there are schools that are considering implementing that rule. Just last month, Seattle's Hamilton International Middle School announced it will be adding a locking system for cell phones and other devices devices. The PTSA is providing specially designed pouches that students will load their devices into at the start of the day. They plan to start using them when school starts up again this fall.
All right, I'm ready to be done with 90s.
Oh, I think you're among the majority.
Get them out of here.
It was sweltering yesterday. I was watching down on my dashboard as I was driving. It said 97 at one point, 98 degrees, so it was very hot. And not the 98 degrees boy band, by the way.
No.
We're not talking about that.
Nick Lachey ain't here.
No. Temperatures today are going to be quite a bit cooler. I want to show you a camera here. I call this the Coop Cam because one of Kelly Koopman's favorite spots on the whole planet is Hood Canal. And it just looks beautiful this morning. The tide is in there at the boat ramp. You can see the clear skies out there, but we're already getting the influence of more of an onshore flow, so it will be cooler today than it was yesterday, even though we're waking up mild. 62 in Tacoma, 65 for Seattle and Everett. We have 61 in Bellingham, 54 for Shelton, and 58 in Olympia. Hour-by-hour forecast on through 7 and 8, 9, 10, 11. Sunshine, in fact, on through the next couple days. Keep the sunshine going. 60s this morning, 70s into the early afternoon, and eventually 80s before the day is up. But yesterday, we had temperatures well into the 90s, even 100s. We set records in Bellingham, Seattle, and Olympia. We're not going to do that today. We will be noticeably cooler out there, but still warm by our standards here in Western Washington. 87 in Seattle, 88 for Tacoma, 84 for Shelton, and 85 in Olympia. 60s out on the coast, and plenty of sunshine for you, too, after the morning clouds burn away. So that marine air is back there along the coast. Very traditional for this time of year, but afternoon sunshine is on the way. Temperature tracker. Notice 80s are locked in for, well, the foreseeable future. On through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Our weekend looking great for getting outside. You will find some morning clouds out there. That's our natural AC that keeps us from getting into the 90s and 100s. So we'll make those temperatures hang out in the 80s over the next 7 days or so. Keep the sunshine around. Pockets of low clouds in the morning, afternoon sun, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. No rain over the next 7 days. So even though we've brought those temperatures down, let's keep thinking about that fire danger, and let's not have any of those fires spread quickly by a spark that you might create. So let's not do that.
Yeah, let's be extra careful. Want to take you to Tacoma right now, show you what roads are looking like down there. This is a live look I-5 south of 70th Street right now. Traffic light in this area. Traffic also flowing at freeway speeds, which is good to see in this spot of our area this morning. Look at the maps to bring you right now. Wanted to zoom in where we do have that deadly fire in Seattle's Belltown neighborhood. Kelly mentioned some of the road restrictions right at around 4:30. Just want to give you an update on those right now. Again, all clear on 2nd Avenue at Vine Street, and then also all clear 1st Avenue between Wall Street and Vine Street. We do still have some restrictions showing up on the map this morning in that area. So if this is, on your morning drive, you're just going to want to go around it. There's still a lot of fire department activity there. Let's broaden out a little bit, show you what the rest of our area looks like when it comes to traffic impacts this morning. Other than that, it looks pretty good up and down I-5 this morning. We do still have, as Steve mentioned, the issues with the 1st Avenue Bridge this morning. That is closed in one direction still. Want to take you over to 405 where we're seeing a little bit of congestion just coming out of Renton this morning. Other than that, though, your morning drive off to a pretty good start. It's just 5:20, so still early enough that we're not seeing any major impacts out there right now.
It is a problem hitting several pools and waterfronts across the country. There is a dire need for lifeguards as summer weather heats up. Coming up, what Seattle Parks and Recreation is asking the public to do.
We are tracking breaking news. Want to take you back live to Burian this morning. We are learning this fire at a former elementary school now being investigated as an arson. KOMO's Lee Stoll live at 5:30 with an update. And just a reminder, we do have complete weather, traffic, and breaking news. You can see it during commercials. You can find all of it scrolling on the bottom of your screen right now. We'll be right back.
5:23 now on your Wednesday morning. We have some breaking news just coming into the live desk. We are just learning about another fire in Seattle. Seattle Fire just posting this on X moments ago, saying that they have firefighters responding to a residential fire along 12th Avenue Northwest, which is in the city's Ballard neighborhood. No photos or videos of that scene just yet. But we're being told when firefighters got to that scene, they saw some heavy black smoke coming from that home. Here's the map of the area where that fire broke out. You see that red dot towards the top of the map here, which is just a couple of blocks north of Ballard High School. What is significant about this firefight right now, this is the third major fire that Seattle firefighters have responded to just overnight. So it's been a very busy night for Seattle firefighters, and we've been showing you those other two throughout the morning. Now let's talk about what's trending online as you wake up and grab your cell phone this morning. Lots of people posting about Portfolio Day on X as you wake up right now. Portfolio Day is an event that aims to connect creatives and clients. It takes place 4 times a year on the second Tuesday in January, April, July, and October on social media. This is an example of someone's work. This post already has hundreds of thousands of views this morning. Also, lots of people posting about Houston in the aftermath of Beryl, which made landfall in Texas on Monday as a Category 1 hurricane. This morning, it's now a post-tropical cyclone. This reporter here says NRG Arena has been converted in a 250-bed post-hospital recovery site, so discharged patients don't have to go back to their homes without power. This is to help alleviate some of the pressure that those hospitals in that area has been seeing as a result of that storm.
Yeah, they're dealing with so much down there right now. Well, the worst of the heat is over. The forecast remains unseasonably warm in the days ahead.
Yeah, and some of you might look to your local pool to escape the mugginess that's headed our way. Hiring lifeguards has been a problem nationwide since the pandemic, and Seattle is no exception. We checked with Seattle Parks and Rec, and they tell us they've seen some improvement in hiring, but more applicants are still needed. All indoor pools are open this year, though some in limited capacity. While they usually operate 9 beaches, they can only operate 6 this year.
We will hire of all ages. You know, we'll hire the 16-year-old who just got certified. We'll hire the 40-year-old who used to be, you know, a lifeguard back when they were in college, and anywhere in between, and even older. I know we've got a couple here who are retired.
Parks and Rec raised their hourly rate to $24.99. If your intention is to work with Parks and Rec, they'll also waive your lifeguard course fee. Lifeguarding is usually a good summer gig for teens. Coming up in our next hour, why recruiting them isn't easy anymore.
And time right now is 5:26. If you're just joining us, we are tracking breaking news of several fires this morning.
Flames ripping through an apartment over in Seattle's Belltown neighborhood. That fire killing 1 person and injuring 6 others. Also looking to the right, that's a fire happening in Burian. The fire just engulfing a former elementary school now used for other programs. We'll have live reports coming up at 5:30.
Disturbing allegations on Capitol Hill. 2 whistleblowers saying the U.S. has failed migrant children. At 5:45, why they say more children are being subject to sex trafficking and child abuse.
Breaking now at 5:30, a 2-alarm fire racing through a Seattle apartment complex. 1 person is dead, 6 others are in the hospital. We're going to take you right back out to Belltown, where we are just getting some new information.
And take a look at this fire still burning in South King County. That is a former elementary school which still houses school programs in Burian. This case now being investigated as an arson. KOMO's Lee Stoll standing by with a live update coming up.
And take a look at these numbers. Cooler today than we have been. Certainly not the record-breaking temps of yesterday. Down to the 80s, even 60s in parts of western Washington. What about your weekend? I'll let you know coming up.
All right, let's also take you outside right now. This is 5:20 near Merrimore Park. A beautiful start, at least right here. Give you a look at the rest of our maps right now. We're going to detail a couple of spots that are being impacted because of several different things that have happened overnight. We're going to check in with that coming up shortly. In just the last hour, we got word a fire at a former elementary school in Burian may be arson.
We've been watching this 2-alarm fire for more than 6 hours now. This is happening along 14th Avenue South in Burian near the Glen Acres Golf and Country Club. KOMO's Lee Stoll live in Burian with much more. Lee?
Yeah, good morning. Just about 30 minutes ago, we were showing you flames that were shooting out of the roof of the gymnasium here. It's a little bit loud because they've now gone back up these 2 ladder trucks and are absolutely pounding the building, as you see with those streams of water. It is so much water. I want to come down the roof line here of the building. This is the Southern Heights Elementary School, and you can see how much water is pouring off the roof. So much so it looks like it's starting to bow in some spots. The school itself is closed. It closed a couple of years ago because of low enrollment, but students still use it here. Highline Virtual Academy and Innovation Heights Academy, there are about 100 kids who do use this building for programs. I want to show you some video that we had earlier this morning. Again, this fire burning now for about 6 hours, and it was so intense when we came here, those flames shooting out of the gymnasium. It was upgraded to a 2-alarm fire. This is a very old building, and it caused a lot of issues for firefighters trying to get it out. Right now they're trying to preserve the office space and letting the gymnasium burn. I can see the roof has collapsed. There's embers and burnt debris in the gymnasium on the floor itself through the door that is open. Take a listen. We talked to a battalion chief about how they fought this fire.
It's an older building, a lot of older construction, so it can get into a lot of spaces. The crews on the roof ran into insulation and roofing material that was several feet thick, 1 to 2 feet thick, so they were having difficulty.
Now, what I want to show you right now, if we can come back out live, I know the video of the fire, it has just been so intense for so many hours, but what we're showing you is the intense smoke that people are dealing with. We've got a neighborhood around here. There was an alert that went out for people to close their windows, almost treat this like you're living next to a wildfire. Block out the smoke if you can. We are uphill from the fire just because the air is clearer up here, but you can see how thick it is now that the sun is coming up. And then going along the side of the building here, this is what we were showing you a half an hour ago. A lot of the debris that's been blown out of the building itself, some burned bushes, broken glass, and then on the side of the building, that arson sign that went up just over an hour ago. The battalion chief we spoke to said this is an investigation that is just starting, but they also did have at least 2 other fires that started in this area over the last couple of hours, one in a box truck, one in a dumpster at another school. So this really is going to keep firefighters busy for several more hours.
My goodness, Lee, thank you. It's been an extremely busy night for firefighters. We're also tracking a deadly apartment fire in Seattle's Belltown neighborhood.
Even extremely busy is an understatement in this case. It's happening in the 100 block of Vine Street, part of that building going up in flames at around 2 a.m. Let's get right back to KOMO's Mo Hyder. Mo, so many people live in that building now wondering, do I still have a home?
Yeah, that's right, Kelly. Remember, at one point, the whole building had to be evacuated. I've just got an update from Seattle Fire that right now, anyone living on the 1st, 2nd, or 4th floor, they can go back inside, but anyone living on the 3rd floor, they cannot. So go ahead and take a look here. The scene is just about to be cleared. We still see a couple of fire trucks out here right now. Again, some people have been allowed to go back in, but here's how the scene looked a couple of hours ago. Around the time when we got here, you can see both sides here on Vine and 1st were taped off. The cause right now is still under investigation, but we do know that fire originated on the 3rd floor, that it's made its way into the hallway and also the units above it. Again, 1 person is dead, another in critical condition. As far as the damages do go, we can't really see much from the angle where we're standing right now, but we did see a couple of windows that were damaged. What we also know about this building, we did see it online, that it was built back in 1987. It serves as households earning below 50% or 65% of the area median income. And even across from the apartment, that area on Vine Street was also blocked off for quite some time, so people were not allowed to go in or out from this specific area. We're also being told about 50 people had to be checked up on. Luckily, they're doing fine from what we've been told. I also see right now that a couple of crews from the Red Cross are also here right now. Again, people who are living on the 3rd floor cannot go back inside, so they very well may need some housing. Live in Belltown, Mo Hyder, KOMO News.
So such an active scene there this morning as well. Mo, thank you.
Okay, so we had Lee at a major fire. We had Mo at a deadly fire in Seattle. We are also just learning now about another deadly fire, this one in Seattle.
Yeah, and Steve, it's been such a busy morning for firefighters. Tell us more about this other deadly fire we're just learning about.
I cannot remember the last time that we have had so many fires happen within a very short amount of time. So we're having 2 new fires we just learned about in the past 30 minutes or so, and they mark the 2nd and 3rd major fires that Seattle firefighters have responded to overnight. First, I want to take you to South Seattle, and this was a post that the Seattle Fire Department just put out on X this morning, talking about this deadly fire in South Seattle. So this is happening along 12th Avenue South. One person apparently has died after being rescued from that fire. That fire broke out on the upper floor of a home there. I wanted to show you a map of where that particular fire broke out. You see that red dot there along 12th Avenue South. That's a couple blocks north of the Maplewood Playfield. The third fire that we just learned about is this one right here. This is a house fire that broke out along 12th Avenue Northwest in the city's Ballard neighborhood. No video or pictures of this one either. But when firefighters got to that scene, they saw some heavy black smoke coming from that home. And as you see in that post from the Seattle Fire Department there, this is the third major fire overnight just in Seattle alone. And all of this coming as those firefighters still deal with some really hot temperatures. Some 20 states, including ours, are under heat alerts today. And it's now so hot in some places in the country that glass is shattering. Helicopters can't fly correctly in some areas as well. This was the scene in Las Vegas. It's been so hot there that glass has been shattering. A window company explains to us this morning that the pane facing the sun can actually get up to close to 300 degrees, very hot. And when the glass starts to expand, it has nowhere to go. The heat also impacting aircraft. It reduces lift by making the air less dense. The National Park Service says that prevented a helicopter rescue in California's Death Valley recently. Temperatures there have been very hot, and some airlines say they've had to actually change flight times to cooler hours of the day because of the weather impact there. All right, now let's give you a live look at SeaTac International Airport this morning. You see that departures drop-off area still very busy. It's been that way for days now. Just check with FlightAware. We're only seeing a few flight cancellations and delays at SeaTac Airport this morning, and Theron Zahn's going to have a check your forecast here shortly.
Well, it is an unfortunate reality that children die of heat stroke in hot cars. On average, there are about 40 hot car deaths among U.S. children per year. That is according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Doctors say that even when it's not that hot outside, temperatures inside a car can rise to a dangerous level of more than 100 degrees. The heat poses a greater risk for children. Their bodies heat up 3 to 5 times faster than adults. That's according to the American Academy of Pediatrics. Parking in the shade or cracking a window is not enough.
Oftentimes, these cases occur when there is a change in routine. Parents or caregivers are sleep deprived and they're stressed, which is very typical. And so we really encourage caregivers to do a few different things to help make it part of your routine.
Doctors suggest keeping something in the back seat even when your child is not traveling with you. If you see a child alone in a vehicle in the heat, call 911 and help get them out immediately. We report on hot car deaths every year, and every year just is heartbreaking to hear.
It's something I always think about, especially on these hot days. I think of how many times we've reported those stories. I've tried to make at least a habit for myself is when I get out of a car with any kid in the car, is I leave my door open so that I always feel like, oh, I'm coming back to the car for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, anything you can do to,
Oh, it's amazing how hot those cars can get, whether it be children or pets or anything inside can be baked quickly. We're going to find our temperature today cooler over the next couple days, and here you go. Here's a picture that shows the change in the pattern around here. You got the Dungeness Lighthouse, and you got some marine air found there. That's our natural air conditioning. This camera is usually a stellar sunrise shot, but you know what? I wanted to show it to you the change in the pattern and why today is going to be a bit cooler than it has been. Actually, quite a bit cooler in some spots. Temperatures today, we're going to go to 77 at noon, 85 by 4 p.m. You can see that marine air along the coast, maybe a few areas along the Sound as well, and through the Strait. That's going to burn away during the day today. 5 p.m., clear skies around here. Lots of sunshine today, but temperatures cooler than they have been. Again, that onshore flow continues, so tomorrow morning you'll find some marine clouds outside here, 8:30 in the morning on Thursday. Thicker marine clouds. That means a stronger onshore flow, and that means cooler temperatures tomorrow. We'll drop it back about 5 more degrees as we go through Thursday and Friday, so people find that more comfortable. But you'll notice still lots of afternoon sunshine out there. Temperatures still in the 80s in many places. It's going to certainly feel like summer around here, but not oppressively hot. Yesterday we had temperatures 90s and even triple digits in some spots. Coming up in your extended KOMO forecast, we'll talk more about the weekend and how you can get outside.
All right, we've got some good news. The situation on the First Avenue Bridge has been cleared. Here's a live look, SR 99, South Michigan Street. Again, this is northbound SR 99, First Avenue Bridge in Seattle. All clear, All lanes are open. Let me show you one more camera shot real quick. This is just West Marginal Way to show you SR 99 West Marginal Way. Again, that is all clear in that situation. Lanes are now open. So some good news for morning drivers who take that on their morning commute. A look at the maps to bring you right now. We are starting to see traffic pick up just about on cue this morning. 167 getting a little busier heading northbound. Same over on I-5 as you travel through the Federal Way Des Moines area. We're starting to see traffic pick up in that area. A few more cars on the road, getting a little bit more congested. Coming out of Renton this morning, 405 northbound, kind of the same story there. As more cars get on the road, we're starting to see traffic get a little thicker in that area.
Time now is 5:41. A disturbing hearing on Capitol Hill.
I'm Jeff Harris in Washington. Lawmakers are sounding the alarm about exploited migrant children. Hear what whistleblowers are saying needs to be done. Coming up.
Plus, a new survey finding nearly a quarter of Americans over 50 years old have not saved any money for retirement. Coming up, what AARP is urging companies to do now as inflation remains.
All right, breaking right now in Burian. This is our live camera we have on the ground for you right now, where we're tracking this large fire at a former elementary school that's now being investigated as an arson. KOMO's Lee Stoll showed us that sign that was posted up here. Where she's going to be joining us at 6 o'clock with some new information. But just a reminder, we always have weather, traffic, and breaking news, such as all of these fires we have been following this morning. You'll have that information scrolling for you during all of our commercials at the bottom of your screen. Lee has been on scene of this. There's been a very active scene for us all morning long. She'll have the very latest coming up shortly.
And then those 3 other fires we've been tracking in Seattle. Live updates on those coming up at the top of the hour. All right, from the live desk at 5:45 now. Stock futures in the green here, but not really changing all that much in pre-market trading this morning after the S&P 500 notched a fresh record close. Right now, those S&P 500 futures are up about 15 points ahead of the opening bell at 6:30. The Dow futures are up about 23, 25 points, somewhere around there. Wall Street is coming off of a mixed session that pushed the Nasdaq and the S&P to new records as Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell cautioned keeping interest rates elevated for too long, saying that could stunt economic growth. Powell spoke to the Senate Banking Committee yesterday as part of his semi-annual address to Congress. He continues his testimony today before the House Financial Services Committee. The Fed will meet again at the end of this month, and then tomorrow some key inflation data gets released. We're talking about the Consumer Price Index report, which tracks the difference in prices that you and I pay for many goods and services. The Producer Price Index report, another key inflation gauge, that comes out on Friday.
Yeah, we'll be watching all of that. A live look at Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., where Republican senators held a roundtable to discuss the exploitation of unaccompanied migrant children and allegations the U.S. is failing to protect those kids from trafficking and abuse.
The National Desk Jeff Harris has more on what a pair of whistleblowers shared with senators.
Both whistleblowers really highlighted the failures of the Department of Health and Human Services and the Unaccompanied Children program. They say the program has allowed thousands of migrant children to be handed over to potential criminals or even gangs.
Losing at least 85,000 children, sex trafficking, and forced labor. That's what Deborah White and Tara Rodas, 2 government whistleblowers, told a Senate panel on Tuesday.
I have seen these children. I have interviewed these children. And I have stories that will haunt me for the rest of my life.
In my estimation, is the most horrific injustices against children that I've witnessed in my entire federal career.
Republican Senators Chuck Grassley, Bill Cassidy, and Ron Johnson hosted the roundtable, saying the Biden administration is just shoveling children out into homes of poorly vetted volunteers, setting them up for failure. But the Biden administration has said that the program reunites children with family members. In place since 2003, the program strengthened its rules just 2 months ago.
Unfortunately, children are still suffering, and HHS has failed to get its act together.
Rodas, who's had a 20-year career in the federal government, told the panel she worked in areas that processed more than 8,000 minors.
To place vulnerable migrant children into the hands of sponsors with criminal history, gang affiliation, to whom many are not even their parents.
And White, who was detailed to HHS in the summer of 2021, telling us directly she blames the HHS and the Biden administration's policies for what's been allowed to happen.
This is nothing less than taxpayer-funded child slavery sanctioned by the government.
Right now, an investigation is still ongoing, but according to the Washington Examiner, investigators hope to wrap up the matter by the end of the year. I'm Jeff Harris reporting from Washington.
5:48 right now. New this morning, a recent AARP survey finds that 1 in 5 Americans age 50 and older have no retirement savings. That's 20% of the population.
AARP is now pushing states to require companies to offer some type of automated retirement savings. That same survey also found that 60% of adults age 50 plus don't think they'll have enough money to last in retirement. More than a quarter of older adults who aren't retired say they expect to never retire. The lingering effects of inflation and high costs remain.
We are also seeing that consumers are having difficulty with the here and now. There are higher expenses that they are facing at the grocery store, at the gas pump. So they're making conscious decisions of whether to put away money or to, pay for the here and now.
More than 1/3 are worried about covering basic expenses such as food and housing. More than a quarter are worried about covering family caregiving costs. 7 in 10 are worried about prices rising faster than their income.
What about a quarter who say they don't know if they're ever going to retire?
I know.
Ever.
I know.
I love spending time with you, Holly.
but
I do at some point.
We're gonna hang out in our retirement.
Oh my gosh, I hope so. If we can all afford it, right?
Yeah.
Let's give you a look at our roads. This is I-405 at Long Acres. As all of us who are not retired do make our way to work today. This just changed now to I-5 at South Main Street. Looks like we have a distraction there over on the right-hand side. This is just the view that WatchDOT's given me just as we watch it together here. Let's give you a look at our maps. I want to bring you a quick update as you look at some of those spots where we're seeing some slowing, northbound I-5 through Federal Way, northbound 405 through Renton. I do want to give you a heads up when it comes to the Ballard Bridge because there's been some work there for at least the last 10 hours. Within the last 5 minutes or so, we just got an update. It is all clear on the Ballard Bridge now between Northwest 50th Street to West Emerson Street. So improvement, we welcome it.
Kelly, I don't have to retire.
You don't have to?
No, because I'm already tired.
Oh, yes.
So there you go. Why would I have to?
You are retired day after day.
Why would I have to retire?
Over and over.
Exactly. Our temperatures today, they're going to be noticeably cooler than yesterday, that's for sure. We have an onshore flow that's beginning to develop. We'll get a taste of it today, more so over the next couple days. I want to show you a camera here, though. This is a wake-up view here at Skunk Bay. You're saying, well, why is there so much color there in the sky? Well, that's wildfire smoke from the Pioneer Fire that's burning near Lake Chelan and starting to drift to the west a little bit. Thanks to the offshore flow over the last couple days, we've drawn some of that wildfire smoke to the west. It'll begin to be pushed to the east over the next couple days. But that fire, the latest update, I just looked on the Pioneer Fire around Lake Chelan, 11,000 acres about. And so that continues to burn with some very high fire danger up and down the Cascade. So a good reminder when you're in the backcountry, please don't do anything that might cause a spark. 62 in Tacoma, 58 in Olympia, 65 in Seattle, same for Everett. Out on the coast, temperatures in the mid-50s, 61 for Bellingham. These are our wake-up temperatures, so we are still on the mild side, but we are not going to be going to the 90s and 100s today. We'll keep it to the 70s and 80s. Some spots get to the upper 80s, but again, not as hot as yesterday. 60s throughout the morning on through 8 and 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. as well into the 70s. And you can see the afternoon 70s and 80s out there. Clear skies, lots of sunshine for western Washington. We're getting more of that onshore flow over the next couple days, so these temperatures will drop back a few degrees as we go through tomorrow. But today, we're going to go to 87 for Bremerton. You got same for Seattle, 88 in Tacoma, 85 for Olympia, where we hit 100 yesterday. So a drop of 15 degrees for them, 80 in Everett and 76 in Bellingham. Out on the coast, temperatures being held to the 60s. So you look here at the temperature tracker and just kind of locked into the 80s on through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and even into Monday. No rain in sight in the extended KOMO forecast. So again, the warning goes out. We are tinder dry around here. We just basically baked western Washington over the last couple days. Not much moisture out there in the grass and the shrubs and things. So even in the lowlands, you got to watch out for wildfires, not just up in the Cascades, keeping it dry for the next 7 days. And let's take a look at your morning trivia now. Time for your morning coffee break.
Wendy's new breakfast burrito is a full-blown breakfast.
I even made a cool bracelet to remember all the ingredients. 6 strips of bacon, 2 fresh cracked eggs, cheese sauce, and seasoned potatoes.
Is that an egg charm?
I had to trade big for that.
Now this is a breakfast burrito.
You almost forgot about coffee break, didn't you?
I know, because I told you I'm tired.
Okay.
But, you know, the atmosphere, it's very tall, but most of it's in the first 10 miles.
Okay.
So 1,500 miles is a long way, but most of it, so it's just a thin blue line around the planet.
It's condensed then, mostly.
Yeah, breathe deeply.
Okay, we will. Time right now, 5:53. Caught on camera, a loose sheep outrunning police in a neighborhood in Minnesota. The police called in to help wrangle this quick, woolly animal. We'll tell you coming up.
When a sheep got loose in Minnesota, police pulled out all the stops, but the animal wouldn't stop running. This happened on Monday. Take a look as 2 officers were sent to deal with the animal, but to no avail. They cornered it in a fenced-in yard, but that woolly perpetrator simply charged through the fence. Wow, through the fence.
Wow,
How about that?
strong
So you know
sheep.
what? Finally, they call in the pros. They call in some cowboys to help capture the sheep. It is not clear exactly where the sheep came from.
All right, I love the storytelling behind that
great.
story.
You know,
that was good. That
really gotta try.
woolly perpetrator there. Time right now, 5:56. Keep it right here for KOMO Morning News at 6 as we continue to track multiple fires across the Seattle area this morning. This is one of the biggest ones. A deadly fire in Belltown, leaving 1 person dead, several in the hospital this morning.
And in Burian, a suspected arson igniting a building that used to house an elementary school. We are bringing you live updates just minutes away.
And here at the live desk, I'm tracking 2 more fires in Seattle, one of those turning deadly this morning. Plus, we're getting new information about this major fire near the First Avenue South Bridge that happened yesterday. We'll break down all of it coming up next at 6.
We also have weather and traffic every 10 minutes. Keep it right here. We're back in 2 minutes with KOMO Morning News at 6.